Pricing is one of those things that sways buyers. $35,000? Well, that is actually a really good price. However, here in Canada, the base model is 57,000 Canadian dollars, and that is not a good pricing. Welcome to the 2025 Volvo EX30, the new super compact SUV by Volvo. It's so compact, it's smaller than like the Mazda CX-30, a Subaru Crosstrek, Mini Countryman. Yes, it's bigger than the regular Mini, but not by that much. This is a very, very compact and small vehicle, but it actually doesn't feel that small. In here, it actually feels decently spacious. I mean, sure, it's not the biggest vehicle, but I have more than enough space in here to feel very, very comfortable. Let's go over the outside stuff first. It is a small SUV, and it does definitely look that way on the front end. The Volvo Thor headlamps are definitely there. Unlike the EX90, it doesn't have that kind of like opening headlight thing, but this still looks pretty cool. Side profile, very, very compact package. This is the top ultra trim with the 20-inch options, so the wheels definitely look a little bit more exaggerated. On the back end, the taillights are very different than the previous generation Volvos, but I like it. It's a different take on Volvo's signature tail lamp design. Mid-trim and above, you get the power-operated tailgate. You get 14 cubic feet of space in here. Certainly not the biggest, but it's sufficient, and there's a little bit of underfloor storage as well. Volvo gives you this nice infographic just to show you exactly how much space there is within the vehicle itself. And if you need, you can fold those rear seats down 60-40, so you can expand that cargo space as needed. In terms of the rear seats, I'm 5'11". While I do fit, I'm like tight. I have enough headroom, but legs are definitely squished against the driver's seat here, which is adjusted to myself. There's not too much going on back here. It's a very minimalistic interior. You get 2 USB ports in the center, and that's really it. That's also where you find your window switches because they're not on the door. If you're thinking of carrying kiddos in here, well, I am a child passenger safety technician. I do want to show you exactly how child seats fit. And you can, but it is going to be tight. This is a Kleckling infant seat. On the driver's side here, I did have to move the driver's seat forward. Here's myself at 5'11". I do fit, but just maybe a little bit more cramped than I'm used to. On the passenger side, this is a Kleck 5th in rear facing. So yeah, it can definitely fit a child seat in here in this configuration. But once again, you're going to be moving that passenger seat forward. Here's myself in that seat. Once you move them forward facing, things can be different. The headrests themselves are adjustable, so they can potentially move out of the way. You get 2 sets of lower anchors are just behind this cover, and then you got 3 upper anchors just behind the bench. As for the front seats, they're heated. They have a 4-way lumbar support as well, which is nice. No, not cooled ventilator or massaging, but that's fine for this class. Depending on the interior that you choose, the seats can differ. You can get this wool interior, which I actually really, really like. This indigo interior, actually, I'm a big fan. I like this dark blue on black. It makes for a nice contrast without being too in-your-face kind of thing. In front of me, I do have an updated Volvo steering wheel. It's very different. It's very squared off. And also the adjustment doesn't seem to be as much as you might think. It doesn't come back far enough and low enough for me. But, you know, your mileage may vary depending on how you like to adjust your seat. You do get some buttons on the wheel itself, but you press the entire thing. It's a little bit different, but you'll get used to that in time. Same with the stalks just behind it. No cluster behind that. Everything is moved to your center screen. It's a very Tesla-like experience. In fact, a lot of it is Tesla-like. I mean, you can walk up to the door and it opens. You walk away, it locks. You get in, there's no start-stop. Well, they've definitely taken a page out of Tesla. I mean, if it works for them, why not? You have this portrait screen, it has CarPlay, it has Android Auto, and it's powered by Google. It's a good system, it's been working well, although it does take a little bit of time to get used to just because you have nothing behind your steering wheel and everything is just right in the center. And well, there's no physical buttons really within the vehicle. Everything, you kind of just go through the screen. So it does take a little bit of time to get used to, but I'm sure it's going to be fine after like a few weeks or a month of owning the vehicle itself. The rest of the interior, it's a very minimalistic interior. There's not a lot to it. You got a soundbar right in front for most of your audio. There are speakers on the rear door, but that's really it to give you that immersive sound. It's not as good as some others, but you know what? For the type of vehicle that this is, that's perfectly fine. You get a large panoramic sunroof on the top, which lets in plenty of light to the cabin. Unfortunately, no shade, so you can't cover it up or anything like that. I'm sure in the aftermarket world, there's going to be something for you. In terms of the powertrain, you get two options. Same battery for both. It's a 64 kilowatt hour battery. The single motor that we have here, you get 420 kilometers of range, 268 horsepower, 253 pound-feet of torque. If you get the twin motor, that's 3,000 Canadian dollar option. That's 402 kilometers range, 422 horsepower, and 400 pound-feet of torque. As mentioned, this is the base rear motor only. So instead of 400 horsepower and all-wheel drive, this, well, it's a little bit different. But don't think that's too bad. Acceleration is like 0 to highway speeds in under 6 seconds, so it's relatively quick. And, well, being a rear motor, I was thinking, oh, maybe it'll allow me to have some play within the chassis, a little bit of slip on the rear end, but it's a Volvo. No, that definitely is not something that they're going to allow you to have. You floor it even with ESC off. There's a little bit of wiggle. I am on winter tires, but it just basically shuts you right down. Stability control kicks right in and says, no, this is a Volvo. It's about safety. It's not about fun. That said, it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's not dynamically fun. You still get to play around with the chassis a little bit, which I definitely do enjoy, but it's not as entertaining as it could be. That's fine. I don't think anyone's buying a Volvo because they want it to basically drift around corners. It's not the type of vehicle for it. This is, well, safety first, and it actually makes for a very pleasant and easy driving vehicle. The steering is ultra light. There is 3 different settings within the infotainment: soft, medium, and firm. But they should really change that to soft, really soft, and ultra soft, because there's this is fingertip steering even in firm. But it's a city EV. That's really what it's designed for. And for a city EV, I get it. You want to have an easier kind of driving feel, and that's basically what they give you here. It is very, very different though. With the chassis being so small and the footprint, even with the wheels push out to the far ends of the vehicle, it is still a very, very short wheelbase. And yeah, you definitely feel that because, well, over bumps, you just feel it so much more. You get the front and then the rear, that reverberation essentially within the chassis. It's a lot more than you kind of expect. It's not like it's a bad thing, but it's definitely not the most pleasant highway cruiser. You're going to be enjoying city streets in this more than your long distance kind of highway travels. This is definitely more of that city EV than a highway cruiser. This being the top ultra trim, I do have like the Pro Pilot Assist and all that. And those, like, it's a Volvo. It all works really, really well, but it's not full autonomous driving, so you do have to wiggle the wheel every now and then. One thing I did find as a tired dad is I tend to yawn when I'm driving in early mornings, and the system here tells me every single time to take a break, even though it's only been like 5 minutes on the road. Yes, you can turn that off, but it turns it back on every single time you start the vehicle. Just typical Volvo safety features, right? Overall, I think the EX30 is very different than your typical EVs. A lot of the EVs that sold here in North America are designed for, well, longer ranges. There's not a lot of short range EVs, and when they do come up with them, they generally don't do all that well. In a city here like in Vancouver, where short range EVs actually makes sense, this is actually a very good vehicle for that. I mean, it has good range. 400 kilometers isn't too little, but this is definitely a city EV. Just with the overall size and how compact it is, it's more mini competitor and Fiat 500 competitor than Ioniq 5 or Equinox or Blazer or something like that. It's on a different market. And while it has enough power, absolutely no problems with power. I'm able to accelerate onto highway speeds here with no problems and no worries. There's just a little bit more cabin noise when you're on the highway than I personally like. Yeah, there's trucks beside me, but I shouldn't be able to hear that much. But on city streets, you won't have to worry about that as much. You're not getting, well, 18-wheelers right beside you. Maybe you are, but at least they shouldn't be as noisy. As a city EV, I think it's a good one if you're in the right market and it's priced well. Here in Canada, it's just a little bit of a tough, no. It's a tough sell. It's not a little bit of a tough sell. It's a tough sell. Because the top trim dual motor with the Ultra package, that's like almost 70,000 Canadian dollars. That's almost like Model Y performance territory. And being such a small vehicle, it's quirky, yes, but no, you're not going to be competing in that market. You're just not. But in the US, well, things are very, very different. In any case, let me know what your thoughts are on the EX30. Is this the breath of fresh air that we're hoping for from Volvo? Or are we going to be sticking to, well, the EX40, which is the XC40 from before, or C40, or EX90, or many other Volvo products that's available? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you next time. Take care. For it. Okay. It's okay.